Good Saturday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. And in today's weather forecast, we are going to be going over our official winter forecast for 2024 to 2025. And I know it does sound early for that, but by the time we head into December, including December 1st, we will be in miracle winter, which isn't winter in general, but it's typically when we start to see some of our first snows, and it's also when things really start to get going. So that's why we're trying to do it right before December, and we are actually only about a week away from that happening. So this is probably a pretty good time to start doing some official winter forecasts. So definitely make sure to subscribe down below, as we will try to let you guys know about what to expect this winter. Even though this is my official winter forecast, we will give you guys a couple more winter updates at times, including with temperatures and precipitation. And I like using models to do those type of stuff. So make sure to subscribe, as we will keep you guys updated on this winter. But also don't forget to leave a thumbs up too as well. Those help out more than you know. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have about this winter. You guys can leave anything down below, as long as it's respectful, and I will get to those right after today's official winter forecast. But let's start off with our precipitation, and as you guys can see, we are expecting above average precipitation across a pretty good portion there of the Northwest, including Washington into Oregon, Northern California, Northern Nevada into Northern Utah, pretty good portion there of Idaho, into parts there of Western and Central Montana, and as well as Western Wyoming will be the area to watch for above average precipitation this winter, especially in the higher elevations, where we could be seeing some pretty frequent winter storms at times. So definitely be watching closely if you do live in this dark green color. And not only are we expecting above average precipitation across the Northwest, but we are pretty confident about above average precipitation ramping up across the Ohio Valley. Now I know the National Weather Service isn't pointing out above average precipitation as far down south as it did, but the reason why I think those areas far down to the south could see above average precipitation, like Tennessee, Northwest North Carolina, is because we just saw some pretty big storms rolling through the last few days, and those really brought some pretty well above average rainfall and snowfall to some of those areas, especially for the month of November. So that's one of the reasons why I'm thinking that a lot of this area will see above average precipitation, because those storms started in the Northwest, continue to move, and continue to bring impacts such as a 4-inch snowstorm in parts of those areas, and they just continue to even bring some snowfall to New England. So that's also another reason why I'm expecting there to be above average precipitation in both of these areas. So make sure to keep that in mind if you live in either one of those green colors. We'll try to keep an eye on it closely for this winter, as once again things could really start to ramp up across both of these areas. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it closely, and you should too. And then next is our temperatures for this winter, and as you guys can see, with our temperatures overall, we are expecting there to be a pretty good shot of below average temperatures across a pretty good portion there of the northern plains and northern Rockies. But even areas as far down south as the Ohio Valley, I think you guys in the Ohio Valley at least have a decent shot of seeing slightly below average temperatures overall. Now that doesn't mean that there's gonna be times where we really experience slightly below average temperatures, but because we're expecting these frequent cold shots to move on down like this, those could be as quick as every few days or so, kind of like what we're seeing right now, and we're actually expecting another one by the time we head into Thanksgiving. Then that's when we could see that shot of slightly below average temperatures is when we see those chances for frequent Arctic blasts around, which will keep you guys, pretty well below average, just not every day. So that's why I'm only putting it slightly below. So make sure to keep that in mind if you do live across the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes. And then down here towards the deep south, we are going to be watching, a pretty good portion there of the deep south and through those coastal areas for some above average temperatures. Now that doesn't mean that, you guys will see above average precipitation, not above average precipitation, but I meant to say above average temperatures throughout much of this winter. That just means you guys are expecting above average temperatures overall, and there will be times where we see those cold shots roll on down into this area, but those aren't really going to happen as much, as once again we are expecting there to be above average temperatures across much of that region in the United States. So make sure to keep that in mind if you do live across the deep south, all the way to California, which does include Southern California, Southern Arizona, Southern New Mexico, pretty good portion there of Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and as well as into Florida, and perhaps all on the East Coast and West Coast. So, that is going to be something, once again, to really keep in mind, because, once again, we obviously aren't going to see, well above average temperatures every day, because, like I said, this cold air can sometimes surge on down all the way down there into Florida, so you guys should still be prepared for some, pretty frigid cold shots at times. But overall, though, like I said, we are expecting above average temperatures. So if you guys hate the cold, that would be the place to go, but you may need to dress warm at times, especially when we see those cold shots move farther down to the south. Now let's go ahead and look at how much snowfall you guys are expecting to see this winter. Now I know this looks about the same, but I am still pretty confident that this is how much snowfall each of these areas are going to see. Now I did forget to put this out, but these coastal areas right here aren't actually expected to see very much snowfall, because like I said, with the temperatures, those coastal areas along the East Coast and some of the West Coast, are expected to see slightly above average temperatures. So the chance of you guys seeing, a lot of snow is pretty low. You guys are probably only going to get about 1 to 5 inches, but elsewhere though, starting off in this gray color, we are expecting there to be a chance of, maybe a half an inch, but most of those areas to stay less than a half an inch of snowfall. So, we'll keep an eye on it closely, but I'm not really seeing any signs, of anything bigger than a half an inch to an inch of snow. But, as we get a little bit far to the north, those snowfall totals do start to increase a little bit, for Central California all the way to North Carolina, where we are expecting anywhere from 1 to 5 inches of snowfall across those areas. And those snowfall even continues to get bigger by the time we head into this orange color, heading from the Sierra Nevadas all the way back over there into Virginia, where anywhere from a half a foot of snow to a foot is going to be possible across that area. And that's just, your total snowfall for the entirety of the winter, not per month, but for the entirety of the winter. So keep that in mind if you do live across the orange color. And then this red color is where it starts to get a little bit extreme. This is where we're expecting anywhere from 16 to 24 inches of snowfall. And I know that might not be your average, but like I said, that's how much snowfall we're expecting to see this winter across that red color. So make sure to keep that in mind if you do live across that red color, heading from the central Sierra Nevadas all the way through the lower Ohio Valley, and as well as into parts there of Maryland. And those snowfall totals even continue to get bigger by the time we head into Northern California, all the way back through parts there of Pennsylvania and New Jersey. You guys are expecting to see anywhere from about 23 to 30 inches of snowfall. And like I said, guys, these coastal areas obviously aren't expected to see a lot, but when I said to New Jersey, I meant to say more Pennsylvania than New Jersey, because you guys along the coastal areas, like I said, because those waters are still warm in some areas, that's going to make it really hard for there to really be any buildup of snowfall along the coastal areas. So like I said, guys, not really expecting a ton of snowfall for the coastal areas, but you guys might see a shot of that or two along the coastal area. So you should still get a little prepared. But like I said, though, I'm not really seeing any signs of any like major snowstorms along the coastal areas. And that's the same thing as we get into the 32 to 40-inch range, heading from parts there of southern Oregon all the way back over there into parts there in Massachusetts. Now I know those areas are more along the coastal areas, but you guys typically see a ton of snowfall. So you guys in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, you guys are more likely to see some pretty good snowfall this winter, especially because you guys are farther to the north, and that's where those water temperatures even start to get below average too as well, especially because a lot of this Arctic air is kind of already guarding that area a little bit. So definitely keep that in mind if you do live across this pinkish color. And those snowfall totals once again continue to even get even more from central Oregon all the way back over there into parts there Vermont and New Hampshire. You guys are really likely to see some of the worst snowfall this winter, as we are expecting anywhere from 45 to 58 inches of snowfall. And then the last area, especially for these extreme northern areas, is anywhere from 60 to 80 inches of snowfall, guys. That's going to be a lot of snowfall for this winter. So you guys in the extreme northern United States must be the most prepared for snowfall this winter, as things once again really start to ramp up by the time we head into December. And then the last one, which I know isn't shown on here, but if you do live above 10,000 feet, you are likely to see more than 100 inches of snowfall. And that does include, like Kings Peak. I'm just pointing out some of the peaks that I know, but that does include like Kings Peak, Mount Whitney, those areas well above 10,000 feet are definitely going to be in the, shot of seeing above 100 inches of snowfall. And there's obviously more areas than just that are over 10,000 feet, but like I said, those areas are likely to see well above 100 inches of snowfall this winter. So definitely keep that in mind if you are in the higher elevations. Now let's talk about something that we haven't talked about this winter yet, and this is your chance of seeing a white Christmas this year. Okay, and we're obviously not extremely confident about seeing a white Christmas. At least this probably isn't going to be exactly what we see. But, I did do, a ton of, research and all that stuff to figure out what areas are most likely to see a white Christmas. And what I can tell you guys is that this area in the Northwest, all the way through the upper Midwest and upper Plains, you guys have a pretty good shot of seeing a white Christmas this year, especially because you guys are going to experience, the most frequent amount of, snowstorms out of everyone, especially because you guys will even be at risk for the most snowfall this winter. So definitely keep that in mind if you do live across the Northwest, not including the coastal areas, but the Northwest all the way through the upper Rocky Mountains and into the Northern Plains, where once again I think you guys got a pretty good shot there of seeing a white Christmas. And then the next region that we are watching for is this kind of teal color showing up. This indicates about an 80% chance of seeing a white Christmas. So chances are getting a little bit lower, but you guys are likely, to see still some of those frequent snowstorms to roll on through this winter. So, we'll keep an eye on it very closely this winter for you guys in the, 80%, area, as you guys once again are pretty likely to see, a white Christmas this year due to you guys being a little bit far to the north. And that does include areas from, California through Nevada, Utah, Colorado, into Nevada, not southern Nevada, but southern Nebraska, into southern parts there of Iowa, northern Missouri, into parts there of the Great Lakes and upper Midwest. So like I said, guys, this is going to be the area to once again watch pretty closely for maybe a white Christmas or two this winter. And then the next region is this blue color, where we got about a 70% chance of seeing a white Christmas this year. Now chances are still getting low, but this is still quite likely likely that we will see a white Christmas this year, and that does include the parts there of the Great Lakes region into the Northern Ohio Valley, parts there in the Midwest, all the way back down there into the Sierra Nevadas. So that is going to be an area to watch closely for. And then our next one, where chances start to get even lower, but once again, when you're above 50%, you definitely got to be watching for one, and that does include places anywhere from the Sierra Nevadas all the way back into the Central Ohio Valley, and as well as into parts there of the Mid-Atlantic, where once again, you guys got a pretty good chance, seeing a white Christmas this year. And then the area that's a little bit iffy, but I still think you guys at least got a little shot of it, is this 50% color, which does include the Lower Ohio Valley, all the way back over there towards the Sierra Nevadas, which, the most southern part of the Sierra Nevadas aren't usually the area to see the most snowfall. But like I said, guys, you guys still got a little bit of a chance of seeing a white Christmas this year, so I would still prepare for it if I were you, if you do live across that purple color that has that 50% showing up, where, like I said, you guys still got a decent chance, so definitely make sure to keep that in mind if you do live across those areas. Just a 50-50 chance, meaning we may see one, we may not, especially because you guys are far down to the south, so, a lot of you guys are prone to snowfall, you guys just don't see it as frequently as those areas up to the north, but, you guys, are still farther, you guys are still, north enough to where you guys could still experience a white Christmas this year, so definitely make sure to keep that in mind, like I said, if you do live across that purple color. And then our last area that we are going to be watching for is this green color, okay? We are going to be talking about, a low but not zero chance, okay? That does include most of the coastal areas all the way back down here into the deep south. You guys in the deep south are probably about zero, but elsewhere, though, is, like I said, a low but not a 0% chance. So, you guys in Tennessee probably got about a 40% chance. You guys, North Carolina probably got about a 40% chance, which once again is pretty low. You guys in Central Texas probably got about a 30% chance, and you guys in extreme southern Texas probably got like a 10% chance. So, you guys can kind of tell that difference right there depending on the location, because like I said, most of those areas in the green color are low, but they are not zero. So make sure to keep that in mind if you do live in that green color. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at our overall winter forecast for 2024 to 2025. And some, of these areas have already seen about what we're expecting this winter, which we do look to continue, which does include the Northwest, where we just saw a bomb cyclone during the last few days. And that's, when we are expecting there to be some pretty big storms around, guys. Like I said, we just got hit with a bomb cyclone up here in the Northwest, and you guys are likely to even experience some more storms by the time we head into the winter, so definitely keep that in mind if you do live across the Northwest, as once again, you guys are likely to experience some pretty frequent storms this winter. And same goes for this good snow area. You guys probably aren't gonna see like the worst out of it compared to the Northwest, but you guys definitely are still expected to see some pretty good snows this winter, which does include northern Utah, northern Colorado, pretty good portion there of Wyoming, into portion there of Idaho, and as well as into western and central Montana. You guys are likely to see some pretty good snows this winter. Not really seeing anything too crazy as of right now, but I definitely would keep an eye on it if I were you, as the higher elevations especially could really get those ski resorts opening this winter. So it's gonna be pretty good overall, so definitely keep that in mind if you do live across that red color over here. And then our next area will be the polar vortexes region, which does include the central and northern plains back into parts there of the western Midwest. You guys are likely to see, some pretty good, shots of cold air, because, usually when those cold shots start to come in, you guys usually experience the worst out of it at first, but then that cold air just continues to move to the south and southeast from you guys. So definitely keep that in mind if you do live across the central and northern plains, as like I said, whenever those cold shots move on through, you guys will probably see the coldest temperatures out of it, but then a lot of that is just going to continue to move to the south and east. So we'll definitely keep an eye on it very closely for you guys this winter, so definitely keep that in mind if you do live across that area. And then the next area that we're going to be watching for is the winter battle zone, heading from the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas all the way back over there towards North Carolina, where that area is going to be pretty iffy for a pretty good portion of this winter, because we don't really know exactly how things are going to set up, but the times when the jet stream dips farther down to the south like this, that will allow for cold air to surge on down, and that could kind of bring some snowfall across those areas. So that's one thing that we could be seeing this winter. Another thing that we could be seeing this winter is that this jet stream stays far to the north like this, and then you guys just experience a little bit of a rainfall threat. So that's gonna be the difference, across that area. In the battle zone area, is that there'll be times where we experience rain, there will be times where we experience snow, and there'll be times where we experience kind of a mix, kind of like sleet or freezing rain. That's just going to be something to watch for this winter, and of course you guys might even have some dry periods too as well. So like I said, you guys are going to kind of be all over the place for this winter, so definitely keep that in mind if you do live across the winter battle zone area. And our next area that we're going to be watching for is the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, where we are expecting the Arctic blasts and of course some heavy snowstorms around. Now the reason why we're confident about this is, if you guys remember a few days ago, this might have been yesterday by the way, but we experienced some pretty big snows across this area as that cold air surged on down, and places like Indianapolis got some pretty good snowfall during the last few days of that storm, and that's something we could really be talking about throughout a pretty good portion there this winter. As cold air surges on down, we see that risk for a heavy snowstorm, which once again is what we saw a few days ago. So that's the reason why we are pretty confident about the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes seeing that risk for some pretty big Arctic blasts and heavy snowstorms. And like I said, with the polar vortexes region, they're not going to see, or they're going to see the worst out of it, but you guys are still likely to see a pretty good big of that Arctic blast as it does roll on through. So make sure to keep that in mind, that the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes probably won't experience the worst out of the Arctic blasts, especially if they start up here towards the Dakotas. But if they, but as they continue to move far down to the south, they'll still bring that risk for some cold air to those areas. And our next area to watch for is this yellow and orange color down here, which does include a lot of the southern United States, okay? Now, I know, starting off with this yellow color, I know you guys, are expected to stay warmer and slightly drier, but that doesn't mean you guys are going to see zero snow or zero rainfall. I do think that, there will be a time or two where this jet stream could maybe dip as far down south of those areas, but that's not going to be as frequently as what we're expecting farther to the north. So that's why you guys are expected to see a little bit of a warmer and slightly drier winter. So, definitely keep that in mind if you do live across, California, Nevada, southern Utah, southern Colorado, and as well as into the south and southeast. And then, even this orange color right here that you see, this is where we're expecting to see the driest and warmest conditions this winter, especially because you guys are going to be well south of that jet stream, because it's kind of going to be like, this. Let me draw that a little bit better. It's because it's kind of going to be like this. See how far down south south you guys are from that jet stream, it would have to dip all the way down there for you guys to really get anything this winter. So, you guys are expected to even see that risk of a drought developing this winter due to how far down south you guys are going to be from that jet stream. So definitely keep that in mind if you do live across Arizona, New Mexico, parts there of eastern and central Texas, and as well as western Texas. I probably should have said a pretty good portion there, Texas, and as well as into southern California and southern Nevada. So make sure to keep that in mind if you do live across that area. And then the last area that we're going to watch closely for this winter is the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. You guys, especially along the coastal areas, are expected to see, mild conditions, but there might even be that potential for a nor'easter or two this winter, especially areas farther inland where we could, kind of see this setup where we, kind of see that risk for a snowstorm, but then it heads off to shore and then continues up the east coast, and that's when we'll see those shots of a possible nor'easter. Now, that's obviously not a guarantee this winter, especially, like I said, especially along those coastal areas that are expected to see slightly above average temperatures, but there is a shot of it, so that's why I did put it there. So make sure to keep that in mind if you do live across the coastal areas where we will be mild overall, but there could be a shot of a nor'easter or two this winter, so we'll keep an eye on it closely. But thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy my winter forecast for today. I really hope you guys enjoy this winter, as this winter is likely going to be snowy for a lot of folks out there. So definitely get ready for this winter, as a lot of those areas are likely to experience those frequent snowstorms and Arctic blasts from this winter. And like I even said throughout some of this forecast, we have seen, some snow and even some frequent Arctic blasts, a few days ago. And, that's, one of the reasons why, we are going to be watching this winter closely for almost the same thing, where we see that cold air surge on down. And, we even see, a snowstorm meet up with it at the same time. So once again, guys, definitely enjoy this winter while it's almost here. And, don't forget to also leave a like too as well. Those help out more than you know. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have down below. You guys can leave anything down below, as long as it's respectful. And I hope you guys all have a great weekend, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.